Do this.
Hey there, everybody. Chris Stegall here from MK Partners, joined once again today by Jesse Penaloza from Mambo Merge. And this is the, winding down day one of Dreamforce. So thanks, Jesse, for hopping on.
Thank you very much, Chris, for having me here. Yes, one down, two to go.
Yeah, and quite a day. As you mentioned on our kickoff call this morning, folks in San Francisco may have gone to more than 11 pre-parties last night and then had a
Yeah,
full day today with the keynote and all of the walking all over Moscone. um, and it's winding down now, but just the official things, because there are of course all of the happy hours and dinners, and events and MVP karaoke and all sorts of things going on tonight for folks in San Francisco. But we are here to recap the things that took place in Moscone today, the official Dreamforce events, right?
oh, most definitely. Like I say, yeah, there's probably over 30 events happening, and that's just some of the stuff that I highlight on top of the additional stuff that's going on. So, yeah, a lot of things going on over there. Pace yourselves for those. Even watching, you can burn out a little bit after watching in a 1+ hour session, back to back to back to back. So get up, stretch your feet out. Us here streaming, stretch out, get some water. Make sure you're kind of looking from far sighted every so often. Kind of give yourself a break. This last stuff we're here to help. So that's why we kind of have two of us to kind of help cover content from one side and the other.
Yep. And we did that live watch along of the keynote today. Um, and that was exciting and interesting. But like you said, sitting still for an hour and a half even is a little bit tough. And I definitely needed to go for a walk afterwards.
Ditto.
All right. Well, let's jump into some of the highlights from today. Um, I think a majority for me come from that keynote. Couple big announcements in the keynote. One of the first ones that really got the Slack channels buzzing here at work was the announcement that Data
Yes.
Cloud and Tableau are going to be free for users on the platform now.
That's something that doesn't come around. When was the last time they actually announced something that was going to be free like this? Because obviously there had to be some reason behind it, but just the fact that you can get Data Cloud plus Tableau. It is limited to the particular edition of Salesforce, so not every single edition is going to get it, but the majority of partners and customers should have one of those editions. So just make sure you read the fine print to make sure you qualify.
Yep. And with that addition of Data Cloud and Tableau, that's going to give folks that are using Einstein artificial intelligence a broader collection of data to reference and invoke in their artificial intelligence efforts. So we should sort of see a snowballing effect of the things that Salesforce always promises, right? Becoming a single source for truth, integrating all those disparate silos of data, and making that data reportable, recognizable, and actionable, as opposed to just there. Like for hundreds of years, we had filing cabinets full of data and no way to reference it or access it effectively. And Salesforce sort of every Dreamforce rolls out a new way for us to more effectively harness that data and turn it into something actionable. So this is another step in that
Yeah,
direction.
yeah, I always use the index cards. For those that do remember, you used to have to go to find a book or article research paper. You had to go through a set of index cards, and if for some reason that piece of content was misplaced, good luck finding it.
Yeah. And then I think the other two things that really caught everyone's attention at the keynote were the Einstein One platform, which is going to be, the newest iteration of Einstein. They showed that cool graph. Actually, did you happen to get a screenshot of that graph? I'm just now remembering that I did
No,
take some
actually,
screenshots.
unfortunately, I did not. Yes, the one where they had the rocket kind of going through the iterations of the different years all the way up to the forecast of how far they're going to be going. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get
Yeah.
one of those, but that was a good graph.
Well, the good news is that folks can simply head over to the streaming portion of the channel here and go ahead and watch that keynote watch along. Or, of course, Salesforce Plus will have the keynote show the history of Einstein AI from its creation in its conception in 2015, creation in 2016, and then the parts of Einstein that I was familiar with when I became an Einstein champion, being prediction builder and next best action. To sort of where Einstein is today with Einstein GPT and the next steps for artificial intelligence on the Salesforce platform. So that is exciting. Einstein 1 was announced as sort of the unifying branding of artificial intelligence at Salesforce moving forward. So that's interesting. And they did sort of go product by product with a timeline for release for
Mm-hmm.
sales Einstein artificial intelligence and service Einstein. And that is very, very exciting stuff. Let me see if I can switch my screen over here real quickly, because I did. Looks like I have to remove it and then share a new screen, because I did find some screenshots that I took. Okay, so it does not like that. This will work. They are Windows, and cool, here we go. So a couple interesting screenshots that I was able to snap. On the
Okay.
keynote,
Let's see
sort
what's
of an
coming up.
update to the,
There we go.
there it is. Some vocab updates for us in terms of the world of artificial intelligence, where we used to think of clicks, we're now going to be thinking of conversations. Where we used to think of code, we're going to be thinking in prompts. And where we used to be data driven, we are now going to be considering data grounded efforts, which was fun because you and I sort of both learned that term on the fly during the keynote.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, like you said, it's like, what is that? And the first time you kind of see it come up again, and that's where I feel the certification that's available right now, the new Salesforce AI Associate, should hopefully help provide some of this terminology to become a little bit more familiar with these
Yep.
terms and stuff, because it's going to be something we're going to be hearing all the time now. And that's the thing is conversations, prompts, and I feel like prompt is going to go to voiceover eventually, right? That's one of the biggest push. Maybe AI will help push that voiceover requirement, where instead of having to type something, you just speak it out, and then you just have somebody hear. You'll hear it back the same way through some sort of
Yeah.
language
And that
model.
reminds me of another instance of Einstein when they did the Einstein voice transcription, so that sales reps would be able to, walk out of a meeting and grab their phone and say, hey, log that meeting, say that it went really well, and throw something on my calendar to email them the PowerPoint deck and whatever when I get back to the office tomorrow. And it would transcribe all of it and then create those activities and tasks. I remember seeing that. I think it was Dreamforce New York in like 2021. So that was one of those Einstein features that I had sort of forgotten about.
I
But
feel
before I
that's going to
forget,
be the power.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm just following to your note. I feel like that's going to be the true power of how it's going to be really utilized by individuals. The voice communication on it, to be able to have AI voice transcribe what you're asking it and create tasks in some automation. That way, all you have to just say a couple of words, and then it'll automate everything for you directly in the computer and have everything set up so you can see it the way you need to see it
Yep.
from there.
And before I forget, you mentioned that new AI certification. We
Oh
are doing
yes.
a giveaway for a voucher for that cert. And
Woohoo!
so I will throw the link to that in the description of this video here, so you don't need to try to write that all down off of the screen there. Um, but do head over there, do enter for a chance to get that cert for free, because then you will know what all these terms mean. And if you want a little cheat sheet study guide, I think we did learn on the call today that data grounding refers to, so a large language model has all of the data that you feed it, and it says, okay, give me all that data. Now I know all these things that you've taught me. Um, but then, the minute you're done uploading data, that data is now old. You could say, if you imagine it's I'm going to really mess up some astronomy here. Let's say you say it's the 1600s. We upload everything we know about space, and we say the sun goes around the earth and everything. And we teach this model that. Then, the next day, we find out that the earth goes around the sun. Well, the language model doesn't know that because it doesn't have that information yet. Um, so grounding involves sort of the way the AI parses and responds to things that are independent of the data that has been put in. It's a way for it to take what is essentially stale data and kind of like reconfigure it and think about it and produce new results that are more likely to be accurate than just regurgitating the information that it was fed. So that is what grounding is. And we're talking about dynamic grounding in that Einstein trust layer.
Mm-hmm.
And the payoff was some pretty cool stuff like this, where when you're building a prompt inside Einstein, sort of similar to ChatGPT, where you create a prompt, in this case, saying like create a concise summary that provides a customer service agent with these details and use this and that, and you're coaching the AI to tell it what results you want based on your specific query. And so seeing the way that we're going to be able to build these prompts and essentially build algorithms with clicks not code and declarative sentences is super exciting from an AI perspective.
Most definitely. And like I said, once it gets converted to voice, where you can just voice activate all this and actually shorten it down, then it's even more powerful. You have to speak a
Yeah,
few words, and then it's going to recognize your voice and go from there. A whole different
definitely.
level of interaction with AI.
Yeah. And then with that, Jesse, why don't we throw it over to your screen? I think you wrote up a little recap of some highlights from today, right?
Yeah. So let me go and do that real quick here. Boom. All right. And just like that, we're here. So obviously, one of the things that you mentioned during our live stream of the main keynote is, I guess, Mark tends to have a unique set of attire that he wears from time to time. And we did find out that at one point he finally mentioned what kind of shoes he was wearing, but I figured I'd find a picture to kind of. But it's there's a whole bunch of pictures out there, pretty sure. But this was a pretty cool one that I found. I thought it was really cool. It's a custom made Gucci shoe that he wears there. They look somewhat comfortable. They got the whole Salesforce theme there with that bluish. They have the Gucci color style, and they have those red laces, so they kind of do stand out a bit. I do kind of like them a bit there. They have the Gucci logo all around that front part of it on the perimeter there. So that was pretty cool. But just little details that some people do appreciate. So it's
Yeah.
nice to kind of know. And obviously, me not knowing that, now I'll be keeping an eye out to kind of see what kind of tire he wears. I also did
Yeah.
notice the blue color was very popular and common. I don't know if that's because of the fact that it's the Salesforce blue in a different shade, but it was, he had a blue attire, a couple of the other presenters as well. So one of the nice little catchy things. Also, obviously, some of the stuff that never gets old here. There was a nice little picture I found on Twitter, aka X, right? That kind of just encompasses some of the basic stuff that on the walkways there, going up through one of the areas. They kind of do these little step murals where you kind of put a little layer of each of the big picture, and it kind of just comes out. Just little things to appreciate, right? So those were really nice that we saw when we were up there last year. Obviously, this year we weren't able to go, but it's still nice to kind of capture some of that for some of the people that head up there and kind of those people love to capture some of the scenery. So there's a whole bunch out there. Pretty sure right now it's wrapping up, right, the first day. So around 5 o'clock is when they start doing the reception for the actual what do you call first like little after party they have. And last year, I don't have a pictures, but I remember last year they had these ladies, these girls, and they had them in a dress, and the dress was filled up with different champagne glasses. So it's a whole bunch of champagne. You just walk up to them, you would grab your champagne glass, and then you would go ahead and drink it. At the same time, they had like these disco balls that were going on. They had all these different stuff, and it's really cool. So it's a really nice little thing to kind of check out. So we should be seeing some of those pictures within the next 15, 20 minutes once the event goes live. That part of the event goes live. Scrolling further down, obviously some of the known DF hashtags. So anything that you want to kind of see or take a look at doing the famous DF23 hashtag. Next year will be DF24. You kind of see some of the people, they use the tag board, which is pretty cool. I guess it's just a way to compile all the posts across all the channels, and any of the video stuff that's going on, so you can kind of create this what do you call collage. That was pretty cool. So some of the stuff you captured during some of the Salesforce Plus stream sessions. Another thing that they kind of were promoting, and I don't know if you saw this or some of the people caught this, but every time I would go into the DF23 Twitter and do the search by DF23, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's actually an Einstein icon that appears on every post that you actually post. And if you do the search and you refresh your page, you see all these little Einstein balloons come up and stuff, kind of celebrating. So I thought that was really cool. I don't know if they work with Twitter. I hadn't seen this with any other hashtags, or maybe this is a new one that they're trying out, a new feature. But there's actually like a little emoji next to the hashtag that appears now on that part. So once again, little things to appreciate. They try to find ways to have people engage through different means. Once again, they also did this. I believe you saw this really quickly. I think that the stream it wasn't as noticeable, but on what do you call on TikTok itself, you can kind of go through and kind of see they had this Einstein. They call it the Einstein filter. It's like an Einstein
Mhm.
filter that you put on. So it's just a little hairdo, and you submit these, and some of these people actually went live during the main keynote. So it was really cool. And actually, I'm pretty sure they're going to start doing it for all the other characters as well. The Einstein, because it's all AI based and stuff. So I thought that was really cool too. Little things once again to appreciate. And for those that actually got a chance to see this, I, for one, managed to actually get this, but I didn't know they were actually going to deliver something to you. I actually had put in our business address, which we're currently working from home, but they actually went and delivered something, which I don't know what it was. They did DoorDash. It could have been some sort of care package for anybody that was not attending Dreamforce and was streaming it to Salesforce Plus. You use this Fuji link, and it would go ahead and ask you to enter some information, and then they will send over a care package so you can be enjoying these days. I'm hoping they bring this up for tomorrow, and if they do, I'll be able to kind of recap. But I got the notifications to the phone because I entered my phone number, but I just didn't put the my local address. I put the business address, and then they ended up dropping something off at the business office, which nobody was there, unfortunately. But
I almost
it
feel
is
like it
what it is.
must have been like a coffee or something, like it from
Right.
Starbucks, or
Agree.
had to be
Yep.
something that would be available around the
Yes.
country or around the world for people that enrolled, as opposed to like a physical. Like it couldn't have been
Yes.
stuffed
Agree.
animals,
Hmm.
because how would they
Right.
get them
Right.
there so
Correct.
fast?
Agree. Yeah. So it would be cool who they work with, kind of get an idea of how this works. 'Cause I think this is a really good promotion. Obviously, I did it for a short period of time or until a certain amount of redemptions went through. But it was nice to be able to engage with the people not attending physically at Dreamforce, but still streaming it through Salesforce Plus or any other means. And then obviously, what do you call Chris talked about some of this stuff, but let me go ahead and jump through this real quick because I didn't want to go all the way down here. So obviously, for those that for those that did, this is one of the sessions I wanted to jump in. The future of trusted AI with Sam Altman and Benioff. Obviously, there were some technical difficulties in the beginning, so there was a 15-minute delay. There was a lot of people that were a little bit frustrated because they wanted to hear Sam talk. But they got it back up and running, and it actually finished before we did this live stream, which is really cool. So what I did want to share about is obviously, but we do want to congratulate Mike Hess because he was one of the Golden Hoodie recipients. So it's really cool for his backstory and stuff. He is blind, but obviously there's some programs that are available to Salesforce that allow to tap into resources and actually leverage. So he has a great backstory and everything. So congratulations to him. Nothing in any means. It was just that they actually ended up replaying this. This was part of the keynote, but it actually didn't go live in the keynote, or it could have been thereafter. But I thought it was part of the keynote that this was done in. 'Cause usually that's when they give out the golden hoodies during the main keynote, but it didn't happen there. So they replayed it, but afterwards everything got back up and stuff. And the one thing I did want to mention is, obviously some of the stuff from Sam was mentioned. The concern was the conversation was not more in depth into AI, but it was more like a back and forth between Mark and Sam regarding some of his experiences and kind of how he's engaging with different governments when different countries that pertains to AI. He was very positive. I liked his communication skills. He was very well thought out in terms of answering his stuff, but they weren't really diving into the core of AI. I feel in terms, some people expected them to talk more about in depth, but I did what do you call want to highlight some of the stuff, which is obviously, the biggest takeaway is, AI is going to become part of human nature. That's one of the mentions there, which is really cool because obviously that's pretty much where everybody sees that. There is a little bit of a concern there. Um, if you didn't know, GPT-4 has only been out for 6 months. So imagine 6 months. I don't expect them to have a thorough conversation and be able to provide us all the answers we need about AI. It's just more like, okay, let's get the discussion going. Uh, let's get more people involved so we can have better perspectives. Um, Government involvement obviously was one of the mentions there because he has to go with different governments and try to figure out how each one's going to cooperate because everybody's going to get involved and figure out how to regulate and build some sort of trust aspect with it. Because if not, then how do you build some sort of compliance and how do you build that trust factor? There has to be some sort of regulation in place. So overall, I thought it was really good. Everybody had a good, positive take on it. Just people were expecting more in-depth questions about AI itself in terms of how it's supposed to function. What are the concerns? What are the expectations for the next 6 months, 12 months? And obviously, the big question was that there's no surprises. Nothing's going to surprise except for the fact that AI is going to get smarter and smarter and smarter and going to be able to rationalize and think by itself, which obviously is a little bit scary. But at the same time, the biggest push was, it's going to be an assistant. It's not going to replace humans. It's an assistant to humans to help simplify a whole bunch of things. And that's
Yeah.
about all I got on my end here.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a full day one of Dreamforce. Thank you for taking so many notes and so many photos. We will, of course, be back here for round two tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time for the daily kickoff, and then 4:30 p.m. Pacific time for the wrap up. If there are sessions that you want us to attend or do a watch along to, please drop them in the comments. Message us on Twitter, comment on the blog. And again, to reiterate, we are doing this certification giveaway for the new Salesforce AI certification. Also, something new we're trying for next year is a giveaway for coaching sessions for Dreamforce speaker submission. So if you've always wanted to speak at Dreamforce but need some help coming up with a topic, writing an abstract, understanding what makes you more or less likely to be selected, um, I've had the pleasure of doing it 4 times. We also have some other folks on the team here who have spoken at Dreamforce more than me, so I'm going to try to rope them in to these coaching sessions as well. But one lucky person will get, the full force of our efforts to try to get them picked for a speaking session next year at Dreamforce. And with that, you get a free ticket to the main event. So Dreamfest concert, a Dreamforce tickets themselves, I think, are $1,500, $2,000, something like that.
Hmm.
So a great way to save your organization some money and get you deep into the heart of Salesforce proper and the Salesforce ecosystem. So if you're
Yeah.
interested, um, I will throw the link in the description here, but you can also check out the blog on Medium. It's Creme de la CRM. Um, Search it up there and go ahead and enroll. And thank you again, Jesse, for hopping on these calls. And thank you, folks, for watching. And happy Dreamforce.
Yes. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.